I've made a convenient, wonderful map for everyone to follow along with here, just to make sure. Yeah, okay, this is the right one. So we're going to start with this tweet. We're going to break down each layer of this, and then our core focus is actually going to be down here where you see these two arrows. So keep Barkleys in mind for just 1 second. We're going to break down Cynthia first. If I'm mispronouncing her name, I apologize. It's not my intention. So she did a talk hosted by Barkleys, and she is a diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant for CodeCoven. If we come all the way over here very briefly, here we see some cross references for Out Making Games, which was also on that chart. She's got me blocked, but she is a DEI freelance consultant, and she created a little group called CodeCoven. This is the first award-winning classroom for gender marginalized game developers. We support trans and cis women, trans men, non-binary, and gender non-conforming individuals. Cynthia here calls it, "It's live. I'm so excited to create accountability for studios. I genuinely believe that this can make a big difference for everyone in the industry." She also comes over here.
So Sav, this is a company that, we go back to the right there, please. This is CodeCoven right here.
Coven.
Coven, the first award-winning classroom for gender marginalized game developers.
But then they say women, cis women. I didn't know we were marginalized.
The reason why gender marginalized is used is because if we come over here, an alternative, much more inclusive term, marginalized genders. This includes women, non-binary folks, all trans folks. Trans men are men, and they are still marginalized. So men are marginalized.
Okay.
Everyone else in the wide spectrum of gender. Intersectionality is key. On intersectionality, let's remember that a lot of these panels and speakers were also white, and that representation of race and ethnicity in the industry is a big problem. We can solve more than one problem at a time.
Okay. So she founded this group here.
Yeah, and so they partnered with CodeCoven. Is excited to announce our studio accreditation evolve in partnership with GI Biz, and that's game industry. So they have a lot of followers here. They are the world's leading games industry website, but I don't just like tweets. I like to go to websites. So what on earth is CodeCoven? CodeCoven is the first global accelerator and academy dedicated to forwarding opportunities for marginalized game developers at all levels. So this is another consultancy agency among the many, many, many that we have seen pop up since 2018. And basically their mission is just like everybody else's. Somehow they have this connection based off of her social connections. And supposedly they've worked with Netflix, Epix, Unity, Wings, Riot Games. They could have worked on ancillary games, but of course they're only going to list the entirety of the studio.
Excuse me. I believe you. My mind is unwilling to accept this is real. I know you're not lying. I know you're not making this up. I cannot believe what you're saying, and I'm looking at.
Oh, don't worry. It gets worse.
Sanity. And by the way, Coven, they're Satanists. Let's not mince words here. They're way into witches. They're absolutely into witchcraft and Satanism.
Yeah, so all of the words are intentional here. Obviously, she's got a bit of a theme going on. This just talks a little bit about them, their background. So it's done with one other individual. Julie Yang is a director of people and culture. This is the first step towards creating real accountability in the industry. I genuinely believe that with studios on board, we can make a real change within the space. Keep in mind what Cynthia here said was the problem. Over here, they just list a couple of their statements here, and then, of course, their programs and all of that. So I wanted to get her out of the way to break that down. Again, keep Barkleys in the back of your mind here.
Barkleys is a big company, by the way.
Yes.
Barkleys is a very big company.
Yeah. Okay. So she was on this 2022 Games Industry State of Play game speaker frenzy thing. I guess this was some sort of event, some panel or whatever. So this is normal. They all talk on panels together, right? This shows how they kind of connect outside of Twitter. But
Gabe, are you putting on a mask right now, or are you?
I just put in eye drops. I'm looking at this. Why couldn't these people's fathers just love them? Why couldn't their dads just love them? These people.
That's a great question.
Oh.
It's sad. So if we're going to jump into Barkleys here, let me get them out of the way. So like he said, Barkleys is a big company. They're basically Games and Creative Eagle Labs. They're a support structure for UK games and creative businesses. So most of my research is focused on America and Canada over the past few months. This board specifically tackles the UK. I am not going to talk about tax laws yet. That will happen much later, not today. But so this is, again, just a breakdown for anybody who doesn't know. So they connect developers together. They work on collaborating. They promote DEI. They share things between all of the different developers. They have tools, all of that stuff, right? So Barkleys is, here's the people behind it. We've got John, Elaine, and Jamie. This isn't too particularly interesting here, but this was just a brief introduction into Barkleys. Again, keep them in your mind for just 1 second here. So who are the other two people on this? So we have James Dodd, Out Making Games. He's representing Out Making Games, which is a UK LGBT group. And then the other individual, Dr. Joe Twist, is the CEO of UKIE, UKIE. That's going to be very important, and we're going to break that down last. Let's jump into James Dodd first. So James Dodd over here, he works for a company called Martintrip Associates. Martintrip Associates is a C-suite level, basically executive search tool. They install individuals into various companies at the power position level. They go across all of media for this. They are not just into games. They are into TV. They are into movies. They've got some other things as well, but they do focus on games. If you'll notice here on their DEI page, they have this quote here: monocultures solve problems the same way, continue to give the same answers, and are slow to change. Diverse organizations are nimble, think differently, and are more interesting places to be.
I got a question. I got a question about that statement. Is there any data to back that up?
No.
Like at all?
No, actually, it's the alternative. All of the greatest advancements in history have come from monocultures. It's the cohesion of culture that allows for the flourishing of ideas.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, it's great.
Sorry. So down here now, this is my favorite line that they have that's ever been put on any of these websites. Too many people recruit people they know or people who are like them, and too many recruiters rely on their little black book of contacts. At MTA, we have long believed that this leads to a diminishing gene pool, which ultimately stymies innovation and growth. And then they go on to say that they've got a 50-50 gender balance in the company. A third of the team is from minority ethnic backgrounds, and 20% are LGBTQ.
And by the way, this guy's a white dude?
Yes, he's a white man, I'm assuming. Now, this quote appears.
You broke Dean's internet connection.
Dean is broken. Oh no.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. He'll catch up. Go ahead. Keep going,
Okay.
Seth.
So the reason why I want to highlight that quote specifically on that website is because the quote exists elsewhere. It was put on Raise the Game. So Raise the Game is a pledge website that was created by UKIE, the UKIE that I mentioned earlier with the CEO who did the talk. That exact quote comes over here, and it's attributed to James Dodd. He liked the quote so much, it was used elsewhere. Now, why is this a funny thing? Well, that's because James Dodd is also on the UKIE DEI committee.
Of course he is.
So, James Dodd helps install C-suite level individuals and executives into companies, but he's also part of OMG. And then he's the director of OMG. And then he's also the UKIE DEI guy. Why is that important? Before we jump into that, we're going to go break down OMG.
We told you it was going to be a deep dive today, folks. Let's go.
Could you imagine, and I don't endorse infidelity, could you imagine trying to cheat on Savvy? Dead. Just dead.
Yes, she would know.
It's kind of impossible. So what is OMG? OMG has quite a few interesting social connections here. But James Dodd likes to put his quotes on websites. So here he is, James Dodd, OMG, quoting himself: by empowering and uniting the community, we can act as one voice to push for real change in the broader game industry across Europe and the UK. Our mission at OMG is a nonprofit organization empowering LGBTQ professionals within the game industry. We strive to create a more inclusive and diverse gaming landscape through programs, partnerships, events, education, and advocacy. Wow, it sounds a lot like things we've already talked about.
It's
Fostering
almost
a community where everyone's identity is celebrated and their contributions are valid. Blah, blah, blah.
It's almost, Sav, like it's all that this person has in their life. It's almost like it's a giant grift. That is their entire industry.
Well,
Right.
speaking of
I
grift,
read online, and this is alleged, that there were like mafioso style, like, hey, you don't put some diversity in your games. It'd be a shame if it got bad reviews and people called you all bigots. Didn't that happen to one of the Asian companies? Like,
it's
I don't know if it
rumored
was
to have happened. Yeah,
the
that was the
Wukong
Wukong.
people.
Yep.
Yeah, and they got all called set because they wouldn't hire the DEI advisors to ruin their project.
It's funny that you say that because it's actually not far from what's happening, but just in a slightly different way. So
Oof.
OMG here, they list their supporters on their website and they have several tiers. If you'll notice here, additional support, which means financially supporting, is Barkleys. Where did we see Barkleys? Oh yeah, they hosted a podcast. They hosted a podcast with Random Individual and James Dodd, who is the guy on Out Making Games, but then also on the board of Uki. So Barkleys was able to provide financial support for them, and then they in turn got them, the CEO of Uki as well, to go on this little talk thing, because it sounds way more impressive to have a CEO of something, especially when you find out what that something is. So they have some interesting social connections here, but one of the ones that I do want to point out, just because we have a big fan of the individual that this leads to on the panel, so they have a big promotion with Mermaid Gender. Mermaid's Gender is a big UK initiative that's actually been around for a while that focuses on transing kids. And that's not hyperbole. That's their own wording.
You guys
But-
can I interrupt? Sorry, I know I keep interrupting, but you're
No,
all
it's
younger than Dean and I. I'm 46. Dean, you're about 9-10 years older.
47.
Okay. I don't think you understand what this sounds like to Dean and I growing up in like 70s and 80s and all that. Okay, sorry. I can see Dean's face, and I commend him for getting through this.
It's exhausting. Now, Sav, before you continue, I do want to point this out. This is the infamous clip that you're talking about, Gabe, as far as the threats. So take a listen.
Okay. Okay. I knew this.
So Dean, this is the CEO of Sweet Baby Inc.
If you're a creative working in AAA, which I did for many, many years, put this stuff up to your higher ups. And if they don't see the value in what you're asking for, when you ask for consultants, when you ask for research, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
So there's that.
The reason why that clip too is important is it's not the only one. One time you can sell it off as a joke. Twice it becomes a pattern. She's actually on record saying it 3 different ways at 3 different events. So this is something that they absolutely abide by. It's not just hyperbole for them. But don't worry, we'll get to how it connects to them as well. And it's kind of freaky. But I do want to highlight this Mermaid's Gender thing. And the other part of this is BAFTA Games. BAFTA Games connects to BAFTA. And that also has another connection elsewhere, which we'll circle back to. But so BAFTA Games is out here promoting Mermaids. Mermaids has been supporting transgender, non-binary, and gender diverse children, young people, and their families since 1995.
So, by the way, BAFTA is the British Academy of Film and Television Arts.
They also have a game division, which I just discovered. So here also, Out Making Games also promoted Eurogamer. The Eurogamer team is playing Witchy Life Story in aid of mermaid gamers. So now we have a connection all the way to Eurogamer here. So if we jump down, where are they? Here we go. If we jump down here to Mermaids real quick. So they were promoting their TikTok, stay up to date with us, blah, blah, blah. But the reason why they're important is because J.K. Rowling actively calls them out regularly, routinely,
Glad you're
constantly.
shaking your head.
As early as the 24th of October. So she's constantly screen capping them, showing them data where they're wrong. She's been beefing with them for a while. You're free to read this stuff. You can go find it. The CEO of Mermaid's Gender is constantly on TV trying to promote their agenda and all of this stuff. I don't want to get too deep into them because their focus isn't necessarily games, but the connection was just fascinating.
Okay.
To have these people tie into games. There is a post up here that they also tie into. So this Creative Assembly, this is a Pride Month celebration thing. They basically created a chart of LGBT related organizations. And so Safe in Our World is one of the top ones here. Keep that in mind. There's a connection there. Here's the Mermaids Thing gaming magazine, which was just exposed recently for selling positive press. Out Making Games, which is what we're breaking down. Pixels, Uki, which is what we're also breaking down. And then some others that they do the exact same thing of what I'm already mentioning. So if we come, oh boy. All
So
right.
these people make everything except for entertainment.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
It's like a restaurant that just doesn't make food.
Exactly. So we
But
have
you have to dress a certain way and be a certain way.
Correct.
You sit at the table and they just lecture you about what a bigot you are, and then you leave. That's this restaurant.
They get paid to lecture people, which is what they want. So the reason why Safe in Our World is interesting. So if I come down here, they're also listed as a partnership organization. But here's one. So this is the communications and event.
I love these names. Safe in Our World.
That's right.
Like how could you argue with that?
It's like
Build Back Better, right? It sounds fantastic.
Are you saying you hate safety in the world, Dean? Is that what you're saying, bigot?
I'm saying they are oxymorons.
Yes, they do the language in intentionally like that because of that, because they can only make childish arguments. They can't actually argue in substance.
You guys are all pro-fascism because I'm Antifa.
Exactly.
Get it? Holy shit, dude.
So this is the communications and event manager for Safe in Our World. They also have a connection to, so this is a filmmaker, but so this is Aesthetica. They were featured there. Aesthetica is a BAFTA qualifying film festival. And don't worry, we're going to keep going around the circle here. While we're here, we're thrilled to be partnering with Out Making Games, BAFTA Games. And, we already know where that leads to. Safe in Our World is also the charity partner for OMG. So that's how that circle connects. You see now where I'm going with this. I'm sure this individual had quite the feature.
I don't like to make fun of people's appearances, but I saw Scott Adams call that MSNBC eyes.
Yep. Another connection to Safe in Our World is this individual down here. So this is a Safe in Our World ambassador. Ooh, very cool. But this guy is actually a writer. I can see my 9 out of 10. It's the first time my score has featured in a trailer, and I couldn't be happier for the Silent Hill 2 remake. That's how I found him. So that was an accidental tie-in. So this is a Safe in Our World dude who has his stuff shilling for Silent Hill 2. Very cool.
Talking Dave said in the chat, just have Dean spin the earth backwards until Sweet Baby Incorporated doesn't exist.
Excuse me.
Please, sir, please do us a favor.
All right, so take us home, Sav. What do we got? Or is there more to go?
Oh, there's still a bit more, but this is to get all of that out of the way, to get some of these connections out of the way. Now we're going to do, oh wait, no, I'm sorry. There's so much. I tried to write all this down, but I realized I couldn't even make a script for this. The other thing I want to point out here for OMG. So on the OMG board, these are the individuals, right? So we have the lead player programmer at Rocksteady Studios. We have, here's our buddy James Dodd, who actually lists out his stuff here for once. Then we have another individual at Rocksteady Studios. And would you look at that? Would you come up here? Rocksteady Studios renews their silver monetary pledge back in 2023. I wonder why they did that. You guys just wonder why Rocksteady would give money to this group? I couldn't figure it out at all. This is also another post that they put out just to show kind of where some influence might be coming from. Gender and language in video games. They basically just talk about the use of not needing to say what, or they basically say why male and female is bad.
These are important issues, guys, that need to be discussed all the time, constantly, forever, because video games, right? Hey,
you have to pay somebody.
Dean, when you grew up, when you're growing up and you like popped the quarter in PacMan, did you ever feel like you're a bigot because you didn't choose Miss PacMan?
Well, of course. I mean, it was obvious. I should have chosen Miss PacMan right away. It just doesn't make any sense to my brain. I mean, trying to teach a child this, raising a kid and trying to teach him this stuff is insanity to me. It just doesn't make any sense at all. I have a friend, and they were telling me a few years back, oh, I'm like, how you doing? Things good? And oh yeah, I started a DEI company. And I was like, what? A DEI company? I was like, what is that? And Now I know what it is. It's this.
Are they filthy rich?
I haven't spoken to them since, but I nice person. I just don't understand. I don't get it. You're not all victims. Come on.
Just out of curiosity, was that person white?
Ish.
Okay. Okay. Just curious.
Well, yes, at sight you would say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently a different, you know.
Yeah, right. I hear that. Okay.
Were they two-spirit with pronouns and all the accoutrement?
It could be.
Oof.
Let's keep going, Sav.
So now we're gonna wrap it
Yeah,
up.
please.
and
Another 4 hours, please.
This map was bigger. I actually do have to break them down to make them digestible for people. But this is the bread and butter right here. So this is what we're now going to focus on. I wanted to get everybody else out of the way. So what in the hell is Uki? Uki is a mess. So Uki is the voice
company.
Yes.
So
this is the company that your buddy started, Dean. Congratulations.
Oh no, this isn't just a company. This isn't just a company. This is the meat and potatoes of why everything's connected to it. So this is the voice of UK games industry, our story, our beliefs, and our people. We're here to help grow the UK's interactive entertainment sector and shout out all the hard work, the amazing people, innovative businesses, and cutting edge games that make up our thriving gaming industry. We're here to give our members the support and services that they need to grow their business. The Uki team is here to help you. We provide advice and support for your business, discounts on essential business services, as well as dedicated training and workshops, a games industry service directory, and countless networking opportunities. This line is so important. Keep in mind, these are the people who made the Raise the Game hashtag pledge, which is what we were talking about before with James Dodd on his quote on that website and how he's on this board and also OMG's. Mm-hmm. This line right here explains everything. So, Uki, policy and public affairs, your voice in government and with policymakers throughout the UK. Uki is the lead voice on the big policy issues facing the UK games industry. We gather our members' opinions and represent their views in a series of policy papers, and we consult widely outside our membership when we need to. We make all our consultation responses available for anyone who wants to read.
So these people are actually making policies inside in the UK.
Yes.
And
this is a government board.
Okay.
Yes, that's what's freaky. So celebrating the success of video games in the UK at wherever they are, the new video game expenditure credit and the spring budget, what you need to know because they actually are part of that discussion. Uki responds to HM Treasury consultation on audiovisual tax reliefs. Department of Digital Culture, Media and Sports publishes response data. And then the APPG for video games and esports holds its first in-person blah, blah, blah. So on their, this is what I was talking about with the Raise the Game. Uki administers the Raise the Game pledge, which aims to get game businesses of all sizes to pledge to improve diversity through diverse recruiting practices, building inclusive working environments, and representing voices in their games. The pledge aims to cover over half the industry workforce by the end of 2021. And if we come down here, Department for International Trade. Uki is the executive DIT accredited trade body for games in the UK. DIT offers a series of resources to support your trade activities. And they also have a connection to the Great Campaign, flying the flag for the UK. The Great Britain Campaign is a government-funded multi-million-pound international marketing campaign which showcases the very best of what Britain has to offer in the creative industries. It is designed to encourage people to do business in the UK. Uki secures the game's images, which are featured as part of the campaign.
So this is go ahead.
Huh?
Go ahead, Saf.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say these are some other usual suspects who I'm actually in the process of also writing about that they are connected to. Limit Break has popped up quite a few times. Please keep women in games in your mind here. Now, if we come over here, I've screenshotted only some of their partners, some of the people who have signed with them, some of the people who work with them, right? So, safe in our world.
Real?
Nintendo UK. That we're going to come back to these two in a second. We've got Riot Games, Bandai Namco, Sega. We've got Hi-Rez, which just had a bunch of layoffs. We've got some other big names up here: Microsoft, Nintendo, Square Enix, Konami, Sony, Ubisoft. If you notice, there is a bit of a pattern. They have about 14 or 15 pages worth of these. EA is there as well. But these all cross over to the Raise the Game pledge. Now, obviously, it is strategic for these companies to have a partnership with them, given the fact that they're tying to literally policy and trade. So it's almost mandatory if you want to do business. Now, this is where the fun connection starts. This is the International Games Developers Association, and this is Women in Games. This connects all the way over here. So this is the IGDA, which is just, again, another global resource group for developers that serves DEI purposes. And of course, they've got their big names here: Xsolla, GameBeat, Stride, Netflix Games, which actually just shut down. To my knowledge, all they were working on were mobile games. To my knowledge, I had a couple people that I knew who worked there, and all they did was mobile games. But they've since shut down. Riot, Xbox, blah, blah, blah. Now, why is this important? You're probably thinking, Savvy, this is crazy. Well, this is Jay Powell, and he is a board member of the IGDA. Jay Powell is the owner of the Powell Group, which is who SBI just signed with.
Ah, there it is right there. Okay, so Sweet Baby Inc. just signed a deal with this Powell Group right here. So go ahead, Seth.
Just to break down the connections that I said to keep in mind. So upon the Powell Group's board, upon their employment area, safe and inclusive communities, by the way, we have Charlie here, who is the Twitch manager for Women in Games, which we saw is on the Uki board thing. Even though they are a small group, they still somehow have connection to Uki as well. But if we also come over here, not only do we have the IGDA, the normal one, so there's two parts of it. There's the IGDA and then the IGDA Foundation. So Jay Powell is on the board for the IGDA, but someone who works for him is a board member of the IGDA Foundation. So the connection goes full circle. By having multiple connections and being tied to Uki, he can now get the Powell Group, which is a conglomerate of consultants now. They have consultants to consult with things, and then for the things that they can't consult on, they brought on more consultants to consult on the other things, because they want to be a one-stop shop for consulting, for selling development, for selling the partnerships with publishers, blah, blah, blah. They're pushing really hard for a book and some other services. They've got classes, all this stuff, right? Like, it looks like a grift. It's like remember when Andrew Tate sold his classes? This is what this is, but I feel like it's less effective than that. So these social connections help show us how these individuals can be connected. So the DEI guy for Uki would have direct connections to this guy, Jay Powell, because he wants to be DEI heavy. And between the two of them and everything that they do, they can put whoever they want in whatever company that plays ball, that's chasing ESG.
Right.
It is deep. You think about this stuff, and then you look at the deep state sort of people within even the U.S. government, and you know how deep you have to dig for all this ridiculousness. It reminds me of two things. One, the fall of Rome.
Right.
And two, a great movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger where a kid gives a great piece of advice. He says, boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
You know, I'm really glad that you brought up deep state, because this now lets me go into the bonus meme. I'm really happy about this, actually. So another individual, if you
unlocked 3 more hours of content. Dude.
That's right. Congratulations.
Bonus meme, that beautiful transition.
Bonus.
Another person who was promoting the CodeCoven was this Lauren K individual. If you're someone that has always wanted to make a difference in someone's life, take this moment, donate something, anything to CodeCoven, who are one of the leading organizations dedicated to making future diverse games develop, survive, and thrive. So who is this person, I wonder, right? Well, this person does voices. Hey, me too. She's part of She Plays Games, which is another woman-based organization that does absolutely nothing other than patting people on the back about DEI. But if we come up here, she plays games, retweeted Dr. Rachel Cowart, which is my personal favorite grifting sociologist. This individual, of course, as you all know, worked with or still does work for TakeThis.org. She was put on my radar simply because she referenced the Kotaku article talking about Gamergate 2 and how that started. And as you all know, but here's my favorite thing to talk about, Dr. Rachel Cowart received $669,000 from DHS for the wonderful topic of extreme right-wing extremism in video games and terrorist recruitment, who then partnered with Logically AI, a British-born fact-checking company that actually had a hand in the 2020 elections, is partnered with Meta. They were the ones who actually suppressed all of the information during COVID, much to Zuckerberg trying to brand himself as a victim. He actually signed on to all of this willingly. Logically AI, of course, works with left-leaning governments to fact-check things that they deem misinformation based off of information that has been collected and approved of by government.
This whole thing, Sav, is both illuminating and mind-numbing along the way.
Logically AI also directly connects to Elon Musk because the president of Logically AI was part of the governance board that had to get quickly shut down because they were too vague in their language. But that was formed days after Elon Musk bought Twitter.
Of course.
Can I say two things about this? So, Savvy, first of all, amazing research. It's very hard to get through, but my goodness, I appreciate you exposing these people. We got to ask her, this is what you have in front of us is the what, but you have to ask yourself now, why this much money, power, control, threatening, and all this? Because entertainment and story is proven through scientific research. I know the CIA has known about this since the 50s, at least some of the research I've seen. Entertainment, movies, books, comic books, music is the most potent form of mind control, of persuasion. If we have great actors, great writers, great artists, illustrators, whatever the art is, making great quality art, you will subconsciously believe the message. And then we can get you to vote for anything. And that's why they want to control this. My second point is, Dean, you're an artist as an actor. I'm an artist as an illustrator and writer. This offends me to my core as an artist. And anyone that knows me personally knows I'm not a snob about being an artist. But art is about years, decades of hard work to gain the skills we have. And these people don't have any skills. They can't write, they can't act, sing, dance, draw, but they want to be in there calling the shots. Fuck you. Get out of our art form. You don't belong here. Bunch of creeps. Does it offend you as an artist, Dean? Because this is so offensive. These people have no right to be in this art form.
I agree with you, but I just like the way you put it. I agree with you, and I don't think I could put it quite as strongly. But yeah, they're not creators. They're just standing there trying to hold the puppet strings. It is deep state. It's ridiculous. It's shocking that even on at this level for making entertainment, if you will, games, which I play Call of Duty quite often. I enjoy that. That's fun for me. It's mindless, and I don't have to worry about anything for about a half hour, an hour. I don't get it. It's shocking. They don't do anything. They literally don't do anything except for give this Gabe character some trans scars and make him a woman or whatever it is. I mean, that's shocking to my brain that this even exists. It sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, it's really frustrating because once you start really looking into this and see all the ways that different companies have been able to bully artists over the years, the first time that I personally came across it was years ago when I was looking into publishing, and somebody said, "Oh, if you want to publish with us, you have to run it through a sensitivity reader." I'm like, "What the fuck is that?" And so I hate localizers because I'm very much so a purist. When I watch content from another country, I want to experience that other country. And so I never healed when they made changes to Pokemon. We always joke about the jelly donut, but it was a rice ball that they called a jelly donut that was clearly a freaking rice ball. So I thought that was the worst that the industry had to offer. But then I discovered the sensitivity readers and that people actually get paid to filter out mean and nasty words or change elements of a story that could be problematic. I'm sorry, there's no such thing as problematic fiction.
I finished the script for Dean Cain, All-American Lawman Volume 2 like 3 days ago, 120 pages. And the only readers I have for it are Dean and my wife and the illustrator Akeon. That's it. Just read over this. Tell me you like it. Makes sense. Did I make any glaring plot holes? And have some DEI clown tell me that it needs to be more sensitive or something. Get out of here. Jeez.
Well, Sav, we appreciate the deep dive. Is there more? Did I miss anything?
Oh, no.
For today, that's it. This was just to show the social circles and the impact of what the UK has, because video game, the reason why too that this is so important is because video games from the ground level are being censored around the world. It is more beneficial for Japan to be able to just release one single version of a game than make multiple for regional releases. That's why you see that going away. It's not because they want to. It's because it's just more advantageous to spend less time on the work and just be able to sell it everywhere. So these people are controlling what is being censored globally, essentially. The more regulation that the UK puts on fiction, the worse that this is going to get. And that's why it's so important for America to get rid of the regulations on fiction. We need to change the ESRB or get rid of it. We need to stop the payment processors from censoring everybody and making weird censorship requests just because people want to buy fiction from Japan. That's so stupid. We need to get rid of the idea of allowing people to be empowered to say that there is a problem in fiction. If you don't like the fiction, just don't consume it. The market is big enough for everyone. And then, once we make shame great again, these groups will go away. And unfortunately, like I always say, just because one studio shuts down or just because one game fails doesn't mean anything. We have to remove the incentives from government. Uki is a branch of the government. They are promoting DEI. They are making companies sign pledges. This is insane. This is madness. Stop it. I just want to draw my dirty anime pictures. I don't want to do this.